I-90 West, heading in the direction of Framingham to go to the EVgo charger there. One of the reasons is that today marks the final day of free charging for this unit, and indeed all of the other EVgo single charger units along the Mass Pike. So there are 6 locations in total along I-90 in Massachusetts, 2 in Lee, Massachusetts, eastbound, westbound, 2 in Charlton, Massachusetts, again eastbound, westbound. Then once you get closer to Boston, you have one in the Framingham plaza that we'll go to here, and another in Natick, which is the eastbound plaza. So these are free units and have been since inception, to the best of my recollection. At least anytime I've used them, they've been free. But a notice went up on PlugShare in the last couple of days from EVgo customer operations to say that they will be regular EVgo pay units from January 7th. So this is the last day that they're going to be free. They've been regularly used by a bunch of people. You can see from PlugShare, and certainly from ourselves driving in and out of Massachusetts on various road trips to upstate New York and beyond. So they've been really useful locations. The coming out from Greater Boston all the way over to especially Lee, Massachusetts, which is basically the last place, last service plaza before you leave to go into New York, or on your return from New York, the first service plaza you'll hit coming in on the Mass Pike. They're really good locations for us, typically about, will be down to 20-25%, so they've been great places to stop, charge up, get a bite to eat and a restroom break, and then head off onto our next leg. So it's quite a, it's with a heavy heart that we don't have them as free anymore, but I want to talk a little bit about why that's actually probably a good thing for EV progression, and stepping back and being a bit less selfish, why that could help their development and give the people who manage the Mass Pike food for thought on whether they want to install more, what kind of infrastructure needs to be there for people coming in and out of Massachusetts. So we will take a look at this last day of free charging and then talk about the reasons why we might want to move away from it. So there on the far side is the Natick Plaza. It's the eastbound where the other free unit is. You can see it's pretty unoccupied now, pretty quiet, so hopefully the one passing into the Framingham service plaza will also be the same way. We'll get a quick last charge and have a chat about the pros and cons of free DC fast charging specifically, but also free charging in general. Just on the outskirts, about 15-20 miles from Boston. The units, or the unit, sole unit on any of these, all the locations I mentioned are by the gas station, the Gulf up here. they over towards the back, so they actually are pretty well located in terms of being away from this main parking lot on the right here. And we have this stop in this section, which is mostly used for the convenience store that was up there. Pretty well marked with EV signage. Let's see. Lights here. But this unit, Casey, on EVgo's network is yeah, looks like there's a sign up there saying it's the last day of free EV charging, so we'll take a look and see what it says. See, this didn't require the EVgo card to start up. There's the sign. Special free charging program ends on the Mass Pike, January 7th, 2019. So the upshot here is that these will go to regular EVgo pricing as of January 7th. So this is it's been about 2 years, maybe longer. These ones I think have been in since certainly 2017, late 2017. The Lee ones also we used on our Christmas journey in 2017. Charlton Service Plaza ones went in last year, but they've been well trafficked and well used, as you would expect from a busy road like I-90 in Massachusetts. And obviously it's been they were rumored to go away actually at the this time last year, so we kind of expected to be transitioning to a paid model around that same time last year. And just never happened. People kept checking in, people kept you know, getting the notification it was free. If you look here, this EVgo card, that's what you'll normally scan as a EVgo customer when you want to start up the charge. That's the same one we use on all of the other locations. This one just fires up without any card being scanned, any credit card being put in, anything like that. So this is one of those places where, you know, it's very easy. You get off the interstate as we did. This normally for us would be maybe on the way back, or if we're heading on the way out, we just stop at that Lee location, charge up maybe 30-40 minutes, have a bite to eat, get some snacks, and then head off onto the next leg of our journey into upstate New York. But it's a really nice feature to have, especially coming away from Boston, because you have these right off the interstate from, you know, just outside Boston, then right in the center of the state where I-84 connects to I-90, and then again on the way out, the last service plaza in the state has either eastbound or westbound has one of these. So the question is, now that they go to a paid model, do they put in more of these? Hopefully the data that they've got and the you know, the information and the feedback from people who use these stations is that they're great, they are about as well located as they could be, but we need more of them. One station at every service plaza is, you know, you can imagine quickly getting a lot of time added to your trip if someone's charging to 80% and then you have to wait for them, and maybe, God forbid, 2 or 3 are waiting for a charge. Now, you know, you might be able to move on to the next service plaza. That's an option in some cases, but others might be down to their last 15-20% and don't have the mileage range to get to the next place. So now that, you know, people are starting to going to be starting to pay for them, you'd hope to get another 1 or 2, whether they would be in this location here or a little bit further down. There's not a whole lot of space down there, but you have you know, air section. They could probably squeeze in another 1 unit there, maybe another one by the side of this. The ups and downs of free charging, the pros and cons. Obviously it's been great for us personally to be able to, you know, anytime we want to head out of state, in the westbound states at least, we've always had options along the service plazas, and there's always a place we can stop to fill up really quickly, you know, no extra charge, and that's been beneficial for the overall cost of the electricity on the journey. You know, if you have a premium pricing stop like the ones that I have done occasionally at Electrify America sites, those are kind of offset by these free charging stops. So from that perspective, obviously it'll be a bummer to lose these. But the other side is, obviously, if you're only on these, if, you know, when you're paying for them, you're only on them if you need them. EVgo's, you know, pricing is reasonable once you're on a plan. You know, it's closer to 20-25 cents a minute if you're when you're on that plan, and you have you know the price there. You can stay for as long as you see fit, knowing that you're being charged that price, you know, per minute. Varies from state to state depending on the you know, cost of electricity there, but by and large you're paying 20 to 25 cents. Off plan, that's more like 35 cents, and that gets very expensive very quickly. Obviously when you're paying for it, you're not as likely to stop just for an opportunity charge or a top up. You're not as likely to stay beyond maybe, you know, 80%. But the rate drops significantly beyond 80%, and we need to, you know, as responsible owners, I think we probably need to move on at that point, unless you can't get to where you need to go, you know, on 80% charge, which could be a case in the winter in some of the locations where there are very few DC fast charge locations. But, you know, by and large, if you can move on and get to the next charging location, that time to do that is at 80%, because beyond that you're kind of tying up a charger where someone else could be using it, and you're probably going to spend 2 to 3 times as long as you would at a lower state of charge. But you know, when it becomes a paid station, there's no incentive to do that. You see the rate dropping as long as you know your vehicle and you know what its optimal charge rate is and where you should move on. Then you don't want to be paying for extra minutes at a much slower charge rate, because that's going to take 2-3 times as long, and it's going to cost way more. So that's the argument against some of these free locations. Some people, you'll hear very, you know, vociferous arguments against free charging, and I can completely see their point of view. I view it as an early adopter's benefit, and this kind of backs up that perspective, that it's something that we got because they're still trying to figure out the infrastructure. They don't know exactly, you know, when they're putting them in, how many charges they'll need, what kind of usage they'll get, whether people will want to stop for a certain amount of time, how long, you know, they'll be in the plaza for, I guess, if it's on one of these kind of locations. So there are many kind of variables, and having a free station gives you, it will skew the data a little bit, because people will certainly stay for longer than you expect, but it does give you an idea. Certainly if they've got now 2.5 years worth of data on the usage of these stations, they'll be able to figure out, you know, what are the peak times, when do we need to maybe, you know, which locations need more chargers, do they all need to have another 2 or 3 installed, or is it just, you know, this one on the outskirts of Boston, where they should have 2 or 3, and the ones further out in the Berkshires and in this less populated parts of the state, maybe those don't need to be quite so quickly expanded. So hopefully they've got some good data from this period. It certainly helped us, but I think the pay model will help to keep these clear for, you know, from everyone except those who need it. So those who are at the lower state of charge and really need the juice to move on to their next leg of their journey. So I think it's good from that perspective. You know, it's obviously, you're always sad to see something that saves you money go, but we shouldn't expect in the long term electrons to be free. We should expect to have, you know, payment based on, you know, hopefully what's delivered, but at the very least, if you're charging by minute, at least people know that every extra minute that they spend on it is costing them more and more, and then when the charge rate's slow, again, it's costing them twice as much, 3 times as much once you get beyond 90%. So I think it'll be a good thing overall. I hope they use the fact that these are going to paid locations to use the data, use the information they have to install new stations. I mean, ideally you'd see the redundancy would also be across other service areas in the state. So if there are maybe 2 between this place and the next one that currently has them, maybe all of the service plazas get one of these units, and then you start to have some redundancy in that you can drive through. If it's occupied, you can just roll back onto the interstate and go to the next location. So yeah, we'll take a look at this. We'll see when it drops. When we hit 80%, we'll say goodbye to the era of free charging on the Mass Pike, but hello, hopefully, to a much better developed and data-driven approach to getting these things installed, not just on the Mass Pike, but on all toll roads beyond. And good to have a last complimentary charge. Thank you very much, Mass Pike and EVgo, for putting this unit in here, and indeed all along the turnpike. Definitely been very useful for our journeys in and out of the state, and just a nice thing to have. We appreciate the service, and be more than happy to pay for it on future uses, but 2 years of free electricity, certainly can't complain. Thank you.